12-12. We do have Belveth there. Another thing I'm hopefully looking forward to today is we get our standards off the board.
We are going to see RNG on blue side, and this is kind of the flexibility that blue side offers. You know, Gnar has been a common high priority top laner pick, not really a first 3 ban. Salas as well, only really against Knight has been, but RNG have the comfort to be able to ban more targeted things, whereas Wukong, Zeri for WE, these are just your bread and butters, kind of standard red side ban. Wukong did drop in priority since the nerfs a bit, so maybe left open a bit more, but still, WE just doing their homework here. My interest for this third ban, will they ban, will they ban something a bit more targeted to what RNG's been playing? They go for the Tahm Kench, so Senna Seraphine still possible, but this is definitely something Ming has been leaning on recently.
I think also as well, you know, we're getting a couple of duos out of the mix with the Kalista already mentioned. So Kalista, Renata, okay, that combo's down. Do we get pieces of those bottom lanes as you were mentioning? At the very least, hey, we just talked about the spring drafts looking oddly reminiscent to what RNG are pulling out now, and the Aphelios perk, first pick, still goes down that alleyway.
I wonder if we're going to see like a Jinx match into this. That's what we've seen quite commonly, is like someone picks Aphelios, you pick Jinx. If someone picks Kalista, you pick Aphelios, but obviously Kalista wasn't the one first pick, was banned, so could be interesting to see that. Looks like they might go for the denial of the Nautilus away from Ming. Obviously still a decent pick for heal, but definitely can take that one away. Does mean that potentially RNG could go towards Renata as an example. Renata, Aphelios, a very strong lane together, right? You have this champion who's great at peeling backwards, doing high DPS, combined with Renata, very powerful. WE do go for that Viego though, so now Wei could go in the direction of Lee Sin, could go in the direction of plenty of directions in terms of the jungle. We'll see if they opt to pick that up here, or if they go for something like mid. You know, Lissandra, we saw it initially as an Ahri counter. Xiaohu just thinks of it as the pick for him.
It's funny that he's opting between Ahri and Lissandra in the majority of his games. Game number 6 here for Xiaohu, already sitting 4 and 5 on the pick, and was something again that you highlighted. So while we revisit the past, look for Ming, support pick now, Orcs. You're already talking about something like the Seraphine if we got the center come through. But now that Renata's still on the table without the Kalista, RNG see that as a nice little takeaway.
Yeah, and honestly, Renata's actually very annoying to play against as a Viego, as a Nautilus. The whole point of those two picks is you pick a target and you kill that target. Renata obviously gives them an extra couple of seconds where they can find the turnaround. If you're playing Viego and you ult in to get a reset and it doesn't happen, it can leave you in an uncomfortable spot. So we see that one come in, and then it looks like we might just get the Jinx into Aphelios. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Oh, good. When you get a historic matchup and players like to revisit the past, always feels nice seeing it play out before your eyes. So the game 1 draft, pretty straightforward here, Orcs, but away without a jungler. Walk me through a little bit of the options here as the Lee Sin is the starting ban.
Yeah, so obviously Lee Sin instantly target away. That's kind of the one on the upper level of priority. There's things like Xin Zhao available, Trundle, that are possibilities. I don't expect we'll see Wei playing Belveth, but obviously it is on the cards. Also Volibear, something we haven't seen as much in the LPL, but quite a bit of priority in other regions. Definitely something that gets set up. Vi is also an option, very good into the likes of Jinx, the likes of Viego, locking them down, take them out if you pair it with Lissandra. So, as I said, bunch of options available to Wei. It kind of just is a matter of WE thinning out the pool. They could even look towards the top lane, though, if there's something they're concerned about Breathe taken as a blind, presumably. Bear in mind, they don't have the Gnar for view, so maybe you could look at something like Gwen being taken away if your answer to Gwen was going to be Gnar.
Just love this final ban, though, from WE. It's a jungle ban, it's a Vi, and Wei has picked it up 3 times already. Him and Jeje, the kind of most hype up on this pick, and Wei is 3-0 on it as well. So WE really giving him the respect of the jungle pool, but it does mean the options go down. Orcs, you talked a little bit about the Xin Zhao as the Ahri gets banned on the other side. I'm just more curious here as to what's left in the mid lane, with RNG targeting quite a lot towards Shanks.
Yeah, you could take something that has a decent amount of range here, like a Zero Corki, because ultimately, you're playing with a Jinx, you kind of want to outrange enemy composition, keep your distance, and also, Azir is something that can find that priority. If Xiaohu is looking for roams, you can basically push the wave in, cause issue, get some plates. So I think it functions well if WE want to play a front to back and don't want to lean into the fact that if they try and engage on RNG, you're going into a Renata, into a Lissandra, it could be quite painful. So they do lock that in.
Okay, other side though, RNG, jungle time, Orcs, run me through the options once again. Xin Zhao seems nice here with the comp. I want to point out that, Belveth is so funny. Over in the LDL, I looked at the coach stream the other day, and literally first pick and ban, no matter what, we didn't get Belveth. It was first ban every single time was at Belveth. So in the LPL, it's just a massively different priority. No one wants to touch it.
Yeah, we've only seen Kanavi be the one to adopt it. Obviously, he is someone who's brought out a bit more varied junglers, but for the most part, I don't really expect Wade to bring it out. We do see the Gwen, no big surprise there, and the Xin Zhao, to have that sort of double area where you can't auto attack. And between them and Lissandra, quite hard for Jinx to do damage. Two of them can go immune. One of them, I mean, all three actually, if you think about Lissandra's ultimate, can buy a lot of time. And now WE, they don't have the Gnar, which we've seen as a typical response. They're toying with what their options can be, and they opt to go for the Kayle here. So the Kayle is something we've seen into the Gwen, will outscale heavily, and typically Gwen doesn't do enough to punish you in the early laning phase. What I'm going to say is for WE, this is 3 lanes of leading into scaling. If they get there, front to back is excellent. Like, the DPS coming out from these 3 is going to cause problems. As much as RNG has tools to mitigate, they have the zones that you can't attack in, the Venn diagram between Gwen and Xin Zhao, it could cause issues. So RNG want to set the pace of this game.
Okay, simple as that. Thank you very much. WE, it's not often that we see comps in the LPL draft, like, heavy scaling. Orcs, at the very least, it's not like EDG's draft. I don't know if you saw the game back, EDG versus, I'm not sure if it was V5, but it was just a composition that pure scaling. Lanes looked a little bit more difficult, but they had no engage. At least WE, setting up with the Nautilus here. We have the Viego as well to start snowballing ahead. I'm more curious about, where RNG start in this lane, because you talk about the options presenting themselves. We know that Xiaohu is a very mobile mid laner, and so to me, it puts the options as one of the side lanes for RNG to start punishing early on.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that if you can get Xiaohu moving, that's going to set things up really easily. There's options in the top lane, options in the bot lane. Very easy to set up a dive, and particularly when Lissandra hits level 6, that's the point where, as long as you stack the numbers in your advantage, it's almost impossible to fail dives. Lissandra claws in, roots them, Qs them. As soon as the tower aggro becomes problematic, you self-ult, boom, done. It's so hard to fail, and with a team like RNG so polished at those dives, I feel like it's a sheer thing if they can get them off.
Well, our MSI champions are here to shine up, because WE, our 0-6 team, even with Xian looming over them, it looks hard to beat the MSI champions. Once a historic matchup, now something that WE really have to work at for their first series in this split. We got RNG on our Rift once again, though, and a lot of people coming back and watching LPL and wondering how this team's pacing up. We did a segment earlier on talking a little bit about how RNG, still have that amazing synergy, that full 5-stack of coordination, but even individual skills also feels like it's there, as, we're saying very good things about RNG to open up this set.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've sort of realized what they need. There's some quirky games. For anyone who caught Spring, we saw a situation where RNG lost 2-0 against RA, due to the fact they heavily prioritized Corki, and Strive picked Victor and kind of trounced Xiaohu on it. And I think they've realized that they need agency for Xiaohu. Whether it's Ari, whether it's Sandra, something that can make things happen. And that's what they have here. So, just to watch how the junglers play out this early game, though. Both start on the bot side. And for Beisheng, he's got a harder time, right? None of his lanes really have fantastic setup. I mean, there's the ability with bot, with the Nautilus, but for the most part, he just wants to shut down Wei and stop Wei from making things happen in these early levels.
He definitely will. We know how Wei's jungler is. Breathe, we're just watching him over and over, because as he trades off with Bubu here, the skip and slash makes it out a better one. More importantly, the ward on the red side too. Breathe spent his time in to get more information on WE's jungler. So good little trade there up in the top side as he now starts his push, and they're going to know exactly when Beisheng gets towards that top lane thanks to his efforts.
Yeah, and we see bot lane, the expectation is that Jinx will be able to find Prio because she has the AoE rockets. You can see Gala and Ming spent a lot of time trading into heal, trying to thin the health bar. That's kind of how you want this matchup to go. You're trying to make it so the Nautilus can't easily go for all-ins, because he just doesn't have the HP to trade in those scenarios. Mid lane, we see Shanks doing his best to try and keep priority to provide for his jungler, but the expectation is that, if Xiaohu wants to move, he will get there faster because of the claw. And for now, we're actually going a bit aggressive here and looking at challenge. He has been spotted on a ward here, and this red buff should be gone before he gets there.
At least he sees the smite go down, though, so Wei still wants to challenge, knowing he has a smite difference. Beisheng is giving him space because
Xiaohu's moving.
can't add too much as well. And you're right, Orcs, we just talked about this. Xiaohu making one of the earliest moves. He's only level 3.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just the fact that the Krogs get stolen away here. If Beisheng can't move back through his own jungle, he might lose his Raptors as well. So a lot of effort put in to make this happen. Now, see a replay in the bottom corner of your screen. A bit of tower aggro taken by Heal there. Ignite burn by RNG. And Heal, he is going to be forced to reset in this situation. Does start to walk towards mid. See the ping coming out on the Raptors. They don't want to give this up as well to Wei. One camp was more than enough for Beisheng to lose.
We're still only in level 2. However, summoners were kept in that little mishap of a turret dive. So can still do something. As he moves down, though, will be spotted out, at least in this river. And as Heal clears out the ward, he'll be returning to lane. So RNG's bottom lane as well, Orcs. Setting it up so Double Scuttle goes to RNG's early game.
Yeah, it's a really nice play. When you play aggressive on one side of the map and you know the enemy jungler is there, you deny him the scuttle. And then if your bot lane has prio as well, they're just able to take the scuttle crab, deny him both of those. And now Wei still has his blue buff, still has his wolves, still has his own Krogs up. Take a look at Beisheng's side of the map. His Grump is spawning soon, but a lot less freely available for him to grab. Does mean, you know, he's been put a little bit behind so far in the jungle matchup. Not enough to really be massively significant, but we can see not exactly the ideal start for this Viego.
Yeah, camp it a bit. So not significant, but still has some kind of meaning. As he clears away this camp, it's Wei who gets the earlier reset as well. Pickaxe picked up here for the Xin Zhao. So note the double longsword as the difference between junglers. As we go through the map, right now there's no massive lead apart from, you know, maybe Xing, who has a shove in the bottom side for the time being. So for WE, gold a little bit in their favor, but not much to speak about here. And we did talk about, well, Pew almost shutting me up. We did talk a little bit about RNG having to build tempo here, Orcs, and I think it's relevant noting that Xiaohu is almost level 6 and Wei is close there himself.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see them look for a play. I feel like top or bot. Bot is probably the easiest one. It looks like they might make one already. Try and ban some summoners. Wei is spotted, but he's still going for it.
And it's Gravitum as well. Beisheng wants to make his impact, but he'll be the first to go. Wind becomes lightning in the 3v3. They spot him out, but Heal's already dead. Looking for his reset is Beisheng, but nice bailout here. Gravitum as well, close to getting his own. Beisheng will have a reset, but as Gala flashes away, it's enough. What? Oh, Viego, good times.
And initially, RNG were like, we have Renata, W, the bailout will be enough. We're going to trade up in kills. But they just disrespected Beisheng on the Viego. He needs to be the focus because as soon as he got that possessed, and man, was he close to not getting it. But as soon as he got to jump inside the Xin Zhao, you get another rotation of abilities, all that power. And they're able to clean up Jinx as well, obviously benefiting massively from the reset. So we'll get that replay coming out. And you can see in this situation, Beisheng very, very patient here. The root comes in, he doesn't move. And here, they focus everything onto the Xin Zhao. And the problem is, they kill the Nautilus. Nautilus has done his job. He's done his rotation of abilities. But as soon as Beisheng gets this reset, he gets a whole new set of skills to throw down. And just a disaster for RNG.
Just the damage coming out, I'm surprised. Xing is the benefactor as well, 2-0. We come back at RNG and not giving up though, Orcs. The dive is going to happen. Audacious charge and the wind becomes lightning. Wave flashes away with the bailout part 2, but this time it won't fail. However, Gala feels the magic as well, but there's only one W to give out from Ming, and it ends up being a trade of both AD carries dying.
I remember I set up how easy the dive would be for RNG. The Lissandra goes in the tower, lands the root. As soon as things get messy, you self-ult. Yeah, Xiaohu wasn't the one to take the aggro there. Now, Beisheng's gone aggressive.
All of a sudden,
Xiaohu might look for this.
And the Glacier Prison is available as well. He has Ignite on himself. He's not going to use it. He flashes away. Beisheng not given the reset. The bailout again. It just feels like we're casting Season 11 versus Season 12. Shanks gets a little bit of a trade, and this is endless fighting. That's just kicked off our game.
I know it kind of feels like a joke when we talk about WE being RNG's kryptonite, but it's really feeling like it right now. It really feels like they are just challenging them across the board, and RNG keep getting baited in. Bear in mind, we talked about this coming out of draft, Hysterics. A lot of scaling on the side of WE. You already have a 2-1-2 Jinx. You just had your Azir pick up a kill. Kayle is chilling in the top lane. And yeah, we'll get a replay of this one. And the problem is, you know, Wei is nowhere near right now. Xiaohu is low on mana. heavily commits to get this kill. And sure, the bailout means he doesn't die immediately, but there's a pretty much full HP Azir sitting on top of you. You know, there's Wei has to back away because he's low HP. Just very, very messy coming out from RNG. And for a team we expect to be calm, clean, and collected, they are not looking any of those three right now.
1,000 gold behind it, 8 minutes in the game. WE again hit on your point. The scaling evident here in this first game. So right now, sitting pretty, even with the Herald getting started up and RNG moving members, Beishang's got his own little play in mind, and to keep the game going at this nice pace, it feels like WE are going to commit to plays.
And they should. They should try and make things happen. Trying to deny away Gala here on the bot side. Remember, he has no summoners. If they stop Ming from being able to connect up with the team, they can deny him heavily. It's a Jinx, remember? Obviously a champion who can...
Man.
Oh, Ming.
He's walked into it. He doesn't have an ulti available. Now, Gala will help out, but Heal's still on the way. The Heartbreaker there as well. Death Rocket and Beishang not going to ulti here. Wait, I don't understand the communication there, Orcs, but I feel like I think they didn't talk.
I think Ming having flash, if you ult in and Ming flashes it, you're in melee range of Gala with, you know, green-white guns. Could shred through you. So, wanted to play it safe, and I respect that from WE, right? You're in a good position now. You don't need to overstep. Now, Herald has been secured, and RNG are trying to respond here. Ming makes the play.
First. Yeah, Heal's going to turn on him, though. The traps are down. However, with the Glacial Prison, this is an easy kill on the support. Everything launched out in the kitchen sink, and we're dragging up an available RNG now have themselves a nice window to look for a second objective.
Yeah, they have the Herald as well to make up the deficit. Look at the CS difference between Shing and Gala. That was the cost of them going for that top side Herald. The 2 plates down bot as well. So hoping to get a bit more out of this one. But for now, they'll just push the wave in. And ultimately, I think WE can be pretty happy. You expect RNG to go for the first Herald. We showed the stats earlier. 3rd highest in the league for that objective. WE punish on the other side. And yes, they overstep a bit. Yes, Heal probably didn't need to get caught out there if he backed off sooner. But the end result is they get a positive, and looks like WE also going to be able to get this dragon with the reset timers of RNG coming out. So still, I think WE very happy with this passage of play.
Nice little start, and even the Kale, who hasn't been in any of the plays, is still farming away. So yeah, for WE, a really nice early game that can transition them well. I think we can start talking about the next kill, question mark. I don't know. Shakes is poking in, but Ming's nearby, and kind of get your head turned in this game because every corner there seems to be someone willing to go down and die.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like WE. I expected, you know, leaning into the scaling, but they have been contesting, particularly around bot, the area where you have the most room to. The Beishang having a really strong series, and I think this is a player who, coming on this roster, we had high expectations for. Didn't necessarily deliver so far, but this game is definitely a positive for him on the Viego. And right now, you can look at the item differential on the bot lane. Kraken Slayer to just some components. You can see gold up on the left side of your screen. About 1,000 lead between those 80 carries. Few hundred in the mid lane as well. And top, dead even. Dead even when you have a Kale. You know, that's always something you'll take, Hysterics.
Oh, 100%. Like, it feels like as well, Bubu can be that kind of carry who can carry late game. I mean, honestly, I've watched a lot of this guy, and the fact of now being positive speaks volumes. Wait, still with the Rift Herald, we're going to see where he places it, because as he heads down on the bottom side, the wave is setting itself up, but WE have done their due diligence with vision. They are going to spot him out, making the movement, and Beishang already setting up his response.
Yeah, needs to get there quickly, because you see Xiao, who has priority mid and is moving over. Xiao also having a stopwatch in inventory, so the dive gets even easier. It's all about WE responding and making sure they have numbers in return. You can see Shanks moves down, and then as a result, won't make the play happen. Xiao goes to the claw, but cleanse is available to Shanks, so it's kind of fruitless if you commit to that. He will just dash away, and this is one of the powers of the Azir into the Sandra. You take cleanse, you have your own mobility. Very hard to actually make CC stick to you.
True. I mean, it's great for Shanks, especially with all the CC in this team too. Feels like the Renata ulti is going to help out with that cleanse. Beishang's still on the bottom side, but he's not committing. Herald, as it gets placed down, should be a free bit of plating here to share amongst Gala and Wei, as Beishang still hovers in the lane. Xiao, who moved on down, but right now is taking his back. And as Shanks moves down as well, that's going to be the end, as Breathe starts to need to work here on the top side. Divine Judgment there, but Breathe with a great sidestep out of it. Flash over the wall from Bubu, gets him out, but at the very least, that summoner being down might be a later advantage.
Yeah, not quite an even trade, just because Ghost has a lot lower cooldown than the Flash. But at the end of the day, Summoner, ult for ult. BB's still happy with how things are going. It's close to hit that level 11 mark, where it's not significant. It's level 16, but still a decent spike that comes out. And kind of talking about that bot lane play, you know, they got 2 plates for the Herald. Bear in mind, Gala lost a ton of farm and 2 plates because they leaned up to the top side. So RNG trading down with their Herald play. Bit of an unfortunate one, but they are looking to make something happen top. Yubu has no tools to stop this.
I mean, Flash, ulti, Xiaohu as he puts him in place. Breathe will get the kill credit. Xiaohu is everywhere. You know, feels like a second jungler for RNG.
But I'm going to say, you know, this is the third play he's made in the side lane. The first one that's worked. And now no Flash, no ultimate, and they're looking to punish.
He's going to take the glacial path out, but it gets him about a millimeter forward. The turret does the rest of the dirty work. And Shanks is now 2-0, so you're right. You know, the play might work, but once again, Xiaohu doesn't get enough. And WE are still ahead in gold. They're still this comfortable scaling team that have been able to look at RNG's counter every step of the way.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like the fact that, you know, very marginally, but they're up in gold. You know, they have a dragon advantage at this 14-minute point. At this point of the game, you know, the plates have gone. There's been a few taken by RNG. I think 4 in total plates taken. That's not that many. You know, you got very happy with the pace of the game. If a lot of structures have been taken, really RNG could look to snowball. But already, you know, Azir has Ludens. His priority is going to be a lot easier. Bubu has the Wit's End, so a nice spike. But also, that magic resist very valuable against both of the solo laners of RNG. This game's in a good spot for WE. They just need to continue this. RNG mid-game, something that is feared worldwide. We saw it on display at MSI. We talked about how they're the best mid-game team in the world. RNG really need to show it in this one and just not give WE more time to lean into their scaling.
I mean, 20 seconds until the dragon as well. Kind of feels important when we talked a lot about how the game can be paced out. Beishang hovers down here, but note that we don't have TPs from top laners, so whatever happens, it is going to be a 4v4 at the maximum.
Yeah, and again, Kale just fine with that sort of scaling element, leaning over. Now, Dragon's been started up. And I can't stress the importance that RNG contest this one. If they let WE get 2 dragons, Soul is going to be so late into the game for RNG if they manage to get it. And you can see they are posturing heavily for this one.
As Wei goes into the engager, Steel's just there. WE now in a team fight that they don't want to be in. Xiao gets into the back line, but the hostile taken from Ming doesn't do much. But Wei's ulti does! Shanks laid on his own, but the fight's already blown up in their face. A double kill going over to RNG, and that was just prime gaming all over again.
The confidence to go in, find the smite, and then Wei diving forward so aggressively on this pick on the backline of WE. WE didn't need to fight that dragon. They could have let it go. They could have just said, we've got one, you know, give them the second one. We'll give ourselves more time. They opt into it, and you can see RNG are more than ready. Not only do they get the dragon, not only do they get a couple of kills, but also taking that Herald and maybe first tower on the bot side for Xiaohu as well on this next wave. Actually, I think he has to back away, but regardless, fantastic passage of play for RNG. And we'll get a replay coming out on this one. Wei just over the pit, goes in, manages to get the smite mid-fight as well. Like, he's focused on the fight, still finds the smite, and then continues with that momentum going forwards.
It's just amazing to watch RNG in action. Only moments ago, you're talking about RNG's mid-game. We step into the mid-game quite perfectly. And RNG taking a fight that felt no business taking. WE now behind 2,000 gold as well, Orcs, or maybe about a K as we come back. And the biggest problem I now see is that Wei is 3-1-3. Gala as well, able to pick up resources now with his second kill. RNG's early game stipend, their stymie by WE. Feels like it means a little bit less than it did only a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, there's still no okay spot. I think that's the thing to say. There's still no okay spot. We've hit on this many times. RNG are the ones who have the ability to dictate how the game's going to go from here. First tower is still going to be a bit of golden pocket. They have the Herald where they want to use it. I expect the Herald to go mid. Look how low that bot lane tower is. I feel like it's not a safe place for Xing to stay around, and so he will just back off. And this should just be Gala being able to pick it up. We'll see what WE can do on the other side of the map if they try and make something happen top lane, for example.
Well, he is heading up there. Beishang, in that matter, is going to be here for the Breathe versus Bubu fight. The Bs are going at it, while right now, Beishang, oh my god, his name starts with B as well. There's a miss to come out. Breathe is safe, though, so it won't matter too much, but You're right, Orcs. The reverse play comes through. WE set this up. But look at what's going on with Wei. He's gone deeper than the turret at the time. Sits in there waiting for Herald. And now he's going to plonk it down looking for an inner.
Yeah, and this is a ton of gold for Gala. If they're able to secure this tier 2, which I think Shanks, he sees Ming, he sees Wei, and Gala knows he can't really defend this. Might be able to stop it getting a second charge. We'll see if they walk it in. It looks like they won't. But again, massive amounts of gold. They got the first tower for Gala. They got that tier 2, which obviously gives that extra bonus in the side lane. Yes, they don't get the mid lane tier 1, which does have a cost. Mid lane tier 1, if you want to snowball the game, if you want to push aggressively, your line of vision, having that tier 1 down can be massive. But RNG make the call to prioritize gold rather than, you know, the structure's value on the map right now. And I think they can be happy with that reward. Now I see them open it back on the map. And I feel like the next protocol for RNG is either top tier 1 or mid tier 1, trying to set up to make those happen. But for the time being, it's a minute and a half until that next dragon.
Well, I was going to ask you where we go next, but, you know, opening up the map, again, feels like such a valuable point for RNG, who have this Lissandra. Xiao's 0, 2, and 5, but has been involved in the majority of these plays so far, has been a core part of what we've been saying about RNG, that not only is Xiao still so skilled, but more importantly, the way these drafts come together does often feel like it's off the backbone of something like this list pick. As I'm speaking about this mid laner who's not even here, while RNG set up for a play with their bottom lane in jungle. It is just a minute before that dragon where they try and get themselves some opportunistic gold, but WE are also grouping up now with BU having Flash as a level 13 KO.
Yeah, and we're going to have a look at a little bit at the vision here. We can see really not too much offered by WE around that dragon area. I want to really heavily hit on the fact that WE's composition, as I said before, front to back, right? They want their carries to stand there safely, and anyone who gets close, they just hit them without too much threat being applied to the likes of the Kayle, the Azir, the Jinx, you know, use their range effectively. They really want vision set up, right? As soon as people start flanking, that's when things become problematic. So definitely need to be a little bit cautious about fighting when they don't have vision set up, and RNG doing a good job of establishing that early and trying to make sure WE don't have an easy path into this dragon.
I mean, Dragon is just so dark right now. WE with a singular ward up towards the entry brush, but their Baron wards are a lot better. It's setting for them up to go up to the top side, and it looks like Orcs, they might just be saying, hey, forget it. We're going to leave this dragon.
I feel like basically you need to check inside the pit, make sure there's no wards there to at least pose the potential threat for Baron. Probably not going to happen, but with the DPS available to WE, you want RNG to at least, you know, have to invest someone moving up there. That's where you can potentially fish for a pick. Because there is that blue trinket ward in the Baron, RNG are really comfortable just going to pick up this dragon, have Wei solo it out, grab that second one, and, you know, it would be 30 minutes before we get a potential soul. Kayle's certainly level 16 by that point, but definitely something still for RNG to play for.
Okay, Dredge line though. It's WE start this play. The Crescent Guard comes out and Heal does force that with a quick Dredge line, but his depth charge also flew through. Scala close to getting knocked down. Beisheng stepping forward, and for WE opening up mid turret. That's a good little start for them. Still trailing in gold as well. And WE at 21 minutes still have very optimal routes for this first game.
And it's a nice timer as well. Xiaohu in the top lane dealing with this wave. You have Breathe who's in the bot lane pushing the wave in. And so as a result, WE didn't really end up losing out on anything. Obviously, did initially lose out on that dragon, but they managed to pick up the mid tier 1 as it was on low HP. Pretty easy enough. And once again, we go into the sort of state of the game where it's on RNG to make things happen. Are they going to risk waiting till 30 minutes before, you know, and giving WE the chance to scale? Or are they going to try set something up sooner? They could look to make things happen around Baron, but that mid tier 1, that top tier 1, those still being up and available does make it a lot more difficult to get control off this red side jungle. You can see Xiaohu and Wei posturing, but they don't want to go too deep when that tier 1 is still available. And Xing and Heal are there to defend it.
The range of wave clear, like, it just feels so nice as WE. Xing now with rapid fire cannon, able to step back so safely. His death rocket for the red steel, but doesn't do much. But that vision around Baron, I mean, that was cleared. RNG started up trying to bait in WE, but they're not taking it for now. They're letting BU split down the side lane with TP, and as he adds more and more threat, as he gets more and more levels, it's RNG who still feel a little bit rushed here, with WE splitting nicely.
And you can tell that they know they have to be setting the pace of the game. You can tell that they're trying to like posture around this area and make something happen with the Baron. Really, WE just have to prevent this from happening. They have to stop the Baron from being picked up. You can see there's blue trinkets on all 3 of the carries right now, none currently available. But as long as they don't get caught out and they keep just checking, making sure the objective isn't being started, they should be comfortable. Question mark pings are coming out, though, and no Jinx ult to try and get some cheat some vision there. I think the fact you see Gala, though, as soon as you see Gala, you're like, right, they don't have the DPS to be doing that without him. You kind of need either Gala or Breathe on the Baron, and obviously Breathe was part, Gala was there. So this means they know they have a window where Baron's not being done. They push in, they expect the resets to be coming out, and they'll be able to maintain control for now over the area.
So it feels like we might just have to sit around and wait until Dragon. It's 2 minutes 20 until we get the 3rd one. And as you were saying before, a 30-minute or so Soul is just going to feel pretty rough. But hey, Mountain Soul coming through, a lot to do when you're going up against, I was going to say Kale, that doesn't matter, maybe Azir, Jinx. So it's a nice Soul for RNG, but they're still only 1,000 gold ahead at 24 minutes into the game. WE, I think this is one of their smoothest games we've seen so far, where they've been so understanding of their comp here, Orcs have been so understanding of their win conditions. It does feel like we are getting some of that characteristic WE, not adaptation, what's the word I'm looking for? Like team prowess. Now, we haven't really seen this split at all.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably the best showing, which it's rough, right? Because I think we talked about this at the start of the day. The expectations were higher for players of this caliber, but if they can go into this game, even if they don't win this series, right, against RNG, there's still time to at least turn around this split to an extent, and showing the play is the most important thing that we get to see that now. We actually saw double blue trinket come out in that brush. I don't know if you clocked that one, but that's actually, you know, sometimes a big deal. The blue trinket, quite a long cooldown. One of your main tools contesting the vision, so don't want to burn those a bit haphazardly. But for now, the objective that they're looking to set up for is this dragon. Would be 3rd for RNG, put them on soul point. And it's only about a 1,500 gold lead for RNG at this point of the game, so definitely not impossible to deal with.
But RNG is still confident as ever, and walking up the river. Breathe wants to contest. Now, he was spotted out before, but Beisheng walking around, now going to get spotted too. We're just pacing back and forth, Wei is not here. It's worth mentioning that he's coming up from the south side, and for WE, they get river control back for the time being. A dragon here to delay the game, 20 seconds, to make this game look even more achievable for our 0 and 6.
Yeah, if WE get this dragon, it's fantastic. If they don't, it's not the end of the world, but you can see they're posturing to potentially fight this. Here's the risk, though. Bubu is level 15, not 16.
Ooh,
they are looking for a fight, though.
That flash from the Nautilus support. Dredge line is now down, and that's a crucial tool that could be used as Breeze is sitting here on a control ward, and Bubu goes in himself to zone. WE are not the ones who started, but they're the ones walking in towards the Dragon at 2k, 1k. Dredge line again doesn't connect. 4-man from Xiaohu, though, as Wei gets the Dragon, and that Renata ulti was just as good. Wei's the cream of the crop right there. Still only 1 to go down, but all the ultis from RNG were, chef's kiss.
Great execution from RNG. WE, I don't know. I feel like they didn't need to go for that dragon necessarily. You can see Beisheng quickly realized he wasn't going to be able to get into the dragon, get access to it, so they back away. But at the end of the day, if you're going to fight, why don't you wait for level 60? Just been hit by the Kale. Just being hit now, that big spike. And we see, so Beisheng quickly realizes, hey, I can't head over towards the dragon. But now they're caught into the fight. Heal locked in. You know, the Renata ult connects to so many members. Wei with a fantastic Zinzao ultimate, disrupting the whole team. And sure, they don't get a ton of kills off the back of this, but Summoner's Burn for WE could make things a bit difficult. The fact that Xing has no cleanse or flash, we'll see how they manage to maintain this contest around the Baron. Bubu, as I said, level 16 on the Kale, a massive spike. Despite the 3 dragons for RNG, this game is still within arm's reach for the side of Team World Elite.
Yeah, it is. It's still not the massive goal lead that questions how WE come back in or how WE end up picking a fight. RNG with limited time on the board, 3.5 minutes will give us a bit of intel on how it's progressing. But for now, Baron still being looked at. RNG with the majority of vision, but I think there's a good control ward here towards mid. One towards the pit as well. That seems to be a WE control ward too. At this point, they know that it's getting pretty dire. As you pointed out, the level 16 Kale. And it's kind of funny, Orcs, because I think back in the day, I would look at level 16 Kale like it was god tier, right? Like unbeatable, best team fighter no matter what. It's still great, but we have seen a lot of Kales get to this point and not be able to carry games, which is worth mentioning.
Yeah, I think something to be said is the fact that this game feels like a decent one for Kale. Is the fact that, you know, your ult is going to have a ton of value. You can ult the Jinx or the Zia. You have two other late game carries. Sometimes the problem can be if Kale is the only late game threat, then the enemy team just focus her, right? If you have like a Nautilus or the Sandra, it can be very hard for Kill to function. But here, there's three big carries in the side of WE. The lockdown is kind of limited to what Xiaohu can do, so not necessarily the best spread. Obviously, Ming's ult can be fantastic, but either way, I feel like WE are in a decent spot. And the goal lead, as I said, isn't that big. We've seen, you know, games where Kale hits level 16 with all three inhibs down with an 8k gold deficit. Harder to function in that manner. But WE have weathered the storm right now. And as a result, 2 minutes until that dragon, this is the point where they've kind of said, okay, we've hit critical mass. We are ready to take it to RNG. And you can see they look so much more confident right now.
I mean, running into blue buff, that's a steal. Thanks so much, says Beishang. And as Way it loses that one to give over to Xiaohu. WE turn for the Baron. Now Orcs looks a little bit dangerous here, but they might be trying to burn out that TP.
Yeah, they're trying to bait it. They're trying to stop the pressure from Breathe in the side lane. They know with the wave push deep initially, this was a window for Bubu to group up, but now they're going to send him back. He's going to answer the waves. The reason why the Baron would have been a better fight for WE is because the Dragon is coming up in a minute 30, and that one's a bit scarier because obviously, you know, if RNG secure the Dragon, it's going to give them that instant boost. It's also going to mean that they're going to have the soul for the rest of the game, which ideally you don't want. So even if WE come out favorably in the fight, it might still have a heavy toll. They can't force anything at the Baron Asher. So now resets come in. They're going to have to set up for this possible final elemental dragon of the game.
A minute and 5 seconds to go. Quick item check here. 3.5 for Xiaohu. Worth mentioning. Zonya's, of course, is there. We got 3.5 for Gala as well. Not sure if they're going to be able to complete it before we get towards a fight. And for Xing, that Jinx is at 3 items too, with the Infinity Edge picked up as number 3. Bubu, he's got a Phantom Dancer. So Orcs, we are getting to that territory where 3 items on some of these core carries, the damage is going to be immense. And we have to remember, there is not a hard tank frontline apart from Way in this RNG roster to stand up to it.
Well, I think one of the aspects is that you have a lot of immunities, right? So Wei, Breathe, and Xiaohu can all buy time. The problem is, I think the major problem is going into this dragon, it's like the summoners available for WE. Xing's Flash is coming up soon, but everything else is up and available. If you're playing the safe backline carries, you want to stay at max range, it is beneficial. Even if the enemy have their summoners, as long as you have yours, you feel more comfortable. If Xiaohu flashes in to ult Shanks, he can cleanse, flash out again, and suddenly Xiaohu's in a bad position. But now he's looking for that window.
Oh, he's in such a good angle. You said Xing's Flash is not up and available. They're looking for that target, but they've got a better one. Heal is caught out with all ults in the kitchen sink thrown out. Gala forcing forward. The hostile takeover. Great. It means Bubu doesn't get his Divine Judgment damage down. And Breathe running forward with his ulti of his own. Bubu still heading the charge, but RNG as a 5-man unit. Xiaohu again. The claw into doom. Spells now, we've got to get out of here for WE. But the exit ain't so easy as Gala gets max range for a triple kill. And Xiaohu once again is the story and highlight of Royal Never Give Up.
And honestly, I'm going to say that was kind of a masterclass in RNG's team fighting, being able to handle what WE had to offer. I hope you're going to see the replay of that one, because the way they juggled those immunities that I was talking about, the way they balanced between them, they didn't overlap, they'd use one at a time, and as a result, WE never really got to output their damage. And as you said, Xiaohu with that final play, absolutely fantastic. Baron going to be secured, Soul secured, and finally a significant goal lead for RNG.
There we go. Better late than never. Orcs, I got to ask you, though, still 6,000 up in the lead. It matters quite a lot with the team fighting we see. I'll hold my question, because this started with RNG with great splitting off thanks to Way.
And you kind of count how it's played. So first off, Way is the one with his ultimate, so they can't really do anything here. Then Breathe pops the W, again, can't get the damage off. The huge hostile takeover comes through that kind of disrupts them. And then finally, they start to go aggressive. And this is where you see Bubu looking scary. And then the final tool comes out. Xiaohu with a flash root. And then to deny the turnaround, the self-ult. Those immunities, one by one by one. At this point, WE have built so many tools. The health bars are low. The members are down. RNG can step up to take it. This was just flawless team fighting from RNG, really using every tool they had to the maximum potential.
It's only these top teams in the LPL, but especially RNG, that these small factors that can be missed by the naked eye. Pointed out second time around. Thank you very much, Orcs. It feels like RNG now, as they crush into the base, all of a sudden a switch has flipped. That team fight was a success, and as WE look for their own defense, Breathe is hitting the inner down in the mid lane. They go for an engage. It's onto this jungle, but Way, the immunity's there. Orcs, we talked about one. The other one will come through as Ming drops his hostile takeover. The bailout helping, but no! The flash in from Beishang completely denied. He can't get the Way reset as a double goes over to Gala, and Xiaohu, guess who, wants to kill Xing and heal. WE lost 3 in an instant, Orcs, and it was a 4v5.
Yeah, I think you cannot underrate the impact of the hostile takeover with the Jinx and a Kale. Biu and Xing just took chunks out of each other, and now RNG looking to close out.
They're diving it down. All of a sudden, WE have no control. This game was looking competitive. It was looking like WE finally could get another win back on the board. But RNG just show up and slap them about for the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, they found the fight they needed, and then that final one. Yeah, this is kind of the fear as well. Obviously, the ultimate from Renata gives you 100% extra attack speed. The fact that that connects on the Jinx and the Kale starts to shred themselves, and the ultimate comes in from Gala to clean up. Devastation, and it's a rough one for WE because I feel like they played to their win con.